Hi, my name is Genki Ferguson, and I am the author of Satellite Love, a story about a girl, a boy, and a satellite in 1999, southern Japan. Shelf Life Books was kind enough to choose Satellite Love to be their March book of the month, which is actually very exciting to me since I myself am a Calgary boy. I grew up in Marloop area in the southwest, and have spent many hours going through Shelf Life Books' fine selection of literature. So hearing that there's a hometown crowd supporting me is actually very meaningful. And I hope you don't mind the messy bookshelf here. One of the few joys I've had over the ongoing pandemic is kind of peeking at other people's bookshelves over Zoom calls and the like, kind of getting a feel for what people are reading. So if you want to pause the video, see what I'm reading, go for it. And before we go into a reading, I'll actually show off one more thing. So on top of the beautiful cover designed by Emma Dolan, there are also some illustrations throughout the novel, kind of helping you maybe picture some elements of Japan that maybe aren't so familiar. And they're actually very, very beautifully done, also by Emma Dolan, who designed the cover. So without any further ado, let's get into the reading. This is from chapter 1, told from the perspective of Anna Obata. Did you know that most people are hollow? It's true. You see medical diagrams of the body sometimes, the ones where we're stuffed full of kidneys, gallbladders, and lungs, and it's easy to get the impression that there's no space left inside. But those drawings always miss the gaps. For example, I have an empty spot inside my chest, below my sternum, that if I hit just right lets out a soft thump, a personal echo. I suspect that everyone has their own hollow spot, one that lets out a unique tone when tapped. You just need to find yours. Perhaps yours is behind your head, in your lower back, or along your ribs. The problem is, most people don't seem to understand that they're empty, too. I can pinpoint the moment I realized I was hollow. It was during my first year of high school, and Miss Tanaka was prattling on in social studies class about old gods and ancient tales. Her favorite story was about Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and her brother Susanoo, god of the storms and seas. A long time ago, Susanoo had destroyed some of Amaterasu's rice paddies, and out of anger the sun goddess hid in a cave, casting the world into shadow. All the other gods became nervous when she wouldn't emerge, realizing that if Amaterasu hid forever, they'd be forced to live an eternity in darkness. Of course, they didn't actually care about her. They just wanted her light. They ended up luring her out with a party, pretending that they found another, better sun goddess instead, celebrated loud enough for her to hear. When Amaterasu got jealous and peeked out to see who this new goddess could be, the other gods pulled her up from the cave and trapped her. At this point, the girls who sat behind me in class started giggling, and I glanced back despite knowing better. All 5 of them were sitting with their backs completely straight, hands folded on their desks, suddenly model students. I tried to figure out what, exactly, they were laughing at, but they simply looked past me, avoiding eye contact. One of the girls, Mina, raised her hand and asked, "Why did Anna Terasu want to go to a party she wasn't invited to?" Miss Tanaka corrected her on the name. It's Amaterasu, not Anna Terasu. But then the others started chiming in too, and it became obvious that they were mispronouncing Amaterasu deliberately. Why didn't the other gods like Anna Terasu? Did Anna Terasu know that she was being annoying? Why was Anna Terasu so sulky? I was puzzled at first, but then I clued in that they were giving me a new nickname. I decided that this was a good thing. My classmates give me a lot of nicknames, on account of my having the only non-Japanese name in class. My mom tells me that Anna means graceful or beauty in English. In Japanese, though, it sounds similar to the word ana, meaning whole, a hollow. Compared to that, being called the sun goddess might have been the nicest thing those girls have ever said about me. Miss Tanaka had some slides projected at the front of the room, and one of them showed an old woodblock print of Amaterasu. She was floating in the clouds, enveloped in this holy glow, indifferent to the deities that surrounded her. All the other gods were cowering, arms up, overwhelmed by her light. They admired Amaterasu, or at the very least they feared her. I ignored my classmates' barrage of questions, keeping my eyes on Amaterasu instead, studying her gaze. In those traditional prints, the old gods are all depicted in this uncanny way, with a vacant look in their eyes. Miss Tanaka said it's an expression of compassion, but I think it's one of contempt. The sun goddess was looking down on us, and for some reason I felt an affinity for her. The more I stared at her image, the more it seemed like I was looking into my own reflection. We were both very pale, although her color was from being royal and mine from being indoors all the time. We both had a bit of a sullen streak, too. I wondered if maybe she could be a superior version of myself. Miss Tanaka eventually regained control of the class, getting everyone to settle down for fear of punishment, but I was too busy staring at the sun goddess to notice. Maybe it was that hint of a smile she wore on her face, but the myth didn't quite make sense. There's something that centuries of scholars had overlooked. I raised my hand and asked, why didn't Amaterasu want to be friends with the fake sun goddess instead? It seemed logical. If the other gods were cruel to her, then she should be excited to meet someone she was so similar to. Why would she be jealous of a potential friend? I suppose that it was an odd thing to ask, though, since everyone went silent, including Miss Tanaka. But then, starting from the back of the class, a couple girls started to laugh again. A few boys joined in too, followed finally by mid and lower caste girls, not wanting to be left out of a joke. I didn't mind, though, not just because I was used to it, but because I was still excited by the thought of being a goddess. I felt their laughter bounce around inside me, echoing in that hollow place, and I started to feel lighter and lighter, light enough to float into space. That's the strange thing about those hollows. Once you realize you have one, they never go away. Discovering that emptiness is something you can't come back from. I've since accepted that my hollow will always be there, that it's inseparable from me. But I wonder what life could have been like without it. I wonder where that hole ends and I begin. So that is the first chapter from Satellite Love, told from the perspective of Anna, who eventually meets Leo, the satellite who arcs high above her home. On top of this reading, I believe there's a couple other things going on. There's going to be a social media takeover and also a Q&A session. And I believe for the Q&A session, you can leave some questions. There should be a forum linked somewhere. So after reading the book or before or at any point, if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to place them there and I'll do my best to go through and answer them all. Thanks again to Shelf Life Books for choosing Satellite Love, and I hope you all enjoy. Thank you.